Hey there, this is Matthew Jennings, and on this episode of Peachjar Extra Credit, we are talking about starting in a new school district and some of the considerations around your communications systems. Stay tuned. Jeannette, thank you so much for joining me this morning. This is awesome. We are here at the National Conference in beautiful Bellevue, Washington. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know it's really busy. I know there's a very busy conference schedule and a lot of professional development, so I appreciate you taking a moment to talk to me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We met yesterday. We chatted a little bit about kind of where you're at and your background, and I was just really interested. I feel like this is a great topic for anyone that's shifting districts, coming into a new spot. You had some really great conversation with me about some of the considerations you had about those systems that you inherit and what you need to work through and look at. But before we jump into all that, I'd love for you to take just a moment, introduce yourself to everybody, who you are, what you're all about, where you're at, little background.
Okay, yeah. My name is Jeannette Eckhardt. I'm with North Plainfield School District. I started there last July, so been there for a year now. First year in public school after being in the independent school world for about 6 years.
Cool. Awesome. And when you started in your district, as we all do when we move to a new district, you inherit whatever's there. Certain systems of communication, certain ways of doing things. Let's say you started first day on the job. Kind of, what are you looking at? What are you looking through? What are you looking for? Are you looking at websites, social media? Talk to me about those first days.
The big things are really how are we engaging with our parents, with our community? What does the website look like? What is our social media engagement like? So for my district, the website was very old, outdated, hard to navigate, so not modern at all. Social media, there was no Instagram for the district, no LinkedIn for the district.
Wow.
We had Facebook, but maybe posted a few times a month, low engagement. So it was really, I knew coming in, I had to make a new website. I had to create Instagram right away, LinkedIn, and really start posting at least once a day and getting our numbers up and getting our engagement.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that happens so easily in school districts because they're pulled in so many different directions, and you're trying to balance and juggle budgets and initiatives, and the website, for whatever reason, is one of those things that so many times gets overlooked.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then, once data gets published there, people don't go back and take things that are old down, or you always get, post to the website. After a while, it becomes just a hodgepodge of things, unless you really have a dedicated communications professional that's really managing that. So, wow, they're lucky to have your eye on these things, for sure.
Thank you.
I always tell people, and just tell me if you kind of feel the same way, but I always tell people that your website really is like the first stop. It's the storefront for your district, right? Like, you wouldn't go shop at maybe your favorite shopping store if it was all just a jumbled, cluttered mess and difficult to navigate. And our websites are our really first best impression with the community.
It is. And right now, we live in a society where we want the information right away. We want that instant gratification. So if people are coming to your website and they can't find what they're looking for instantly, they're going to leave and they're going to go find it somewhere else.
That's right.
So one thing that the old website didn't have was that search function, which is so crucial. So now that was one thing I was like, we need to make sure we have this.
Yes. Are you going to link to Google Analytics or anything? Are you monitoring?
Yes, so we didn't have that, so I set it up with our new website that just launched on July 1st. Very exciting. So now I really want to make sure we're being mindful and tracking and really just analyzing and making sure our website is the best it can be, and really making sure that the pages are being utilized the best they can and have that crucial information.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's critical. And if you're not doing that, strongly suggest it. That way you can see what sites are being most visited or searched for.
Absolutely.
And also what device they're using. If you find there's a lot of traffic coming from cell phone devices, you need to make sure you're mobile optimized, right? If you find out that you're calendaring, because I found on my websites the most visited were lunch menus,
the
school, the calendars,
always popular,
right? And so when you find out those popular spaces, then that's where you put your attention, and you really look at making those the most impactful and easy to find as possible. Another consideration would be web pages that aren't being used. If you have pages that go a year without any visitors at all, why do they exist? Maybe it doesn't need to be a page.
Yeah, and one problem is when you have so many people on the back end of your website adding to it.
Oh, yes.
The thing is, people will add to it, but no one is being
one
like,
takes it
we
away.
need to take this down. This has been here for a few years. It's not information that's relevant anymore. So that's when you really start to get a really cluttered website, which is only making it even harder to navigate.
It's so true. And it's funny because then you'll run into people also, that don't want to take it down because it's been up there for so long. No, we need to have that.
Yeah.
Like, but who's
for the
accessing?
one person that may want this information, it has to be there for them.
Yes.
Oh, man.
It's tough. Now, talk to me about your social media strategy because, social media for some school districts is still new territory and they don't know necessarily how to leverage all of the different social platforms that are out there. Or another thing I find is they just don't have the capacity. They might choose one. Maybe they do Facebook, but they just don't feel like they can leverage, X and Instagram and, TikTok. And so talk to me about your strategies. You went in first days on the job and what you were looking at there.
Yeah, so for me, it was really important to find out how our parents and how our staff, our community is really consuming the information we're putting out there. So I developed a survey to send out for them to tell me what platforms they're using, how are they consuming our information, do they like email, do they like text, which social media platforms are they on, so then I knew what kind of content and where I needed to be pushing it out.
That's smart. So that's a solid gold nugget right there. Always go back to your audience, ask what they want.
Ask them what they want. It's as simple as that.
That is awesome. So can you share with me kind of what that data was what bore out of that as far as the platforms and the spaces they were in?
Yeah, so Instagram is huge. Instagram is where most of our community is at right now. So I try to make sure that we are posting at least once a day on Instagram, making sure it's not just your flyers and graphics with all the heavy text. People want to see faces. They're really going to interact with the faces, videos. One thing I'm really excited about this year, now that I've had a year in the district, I really want to get students involved more. I want to do some Instagram takeovers, which are huge. I used to do that in the independent school world. I had the students do takeovers, bring that their student voice, which people really love that.
Yes.
Do some Q&A. Have them really lead the way with that. You'll see engagement like you've never seen before.
Engagement's huge when you do that.
Absolutely.
Peachjar Extra Credit episode, don't remember which episode it was, but it was Andrea Gerbil and I, social media guru extraordinaire, did a video on just the algorithms you were just talking about. And the data absolutely bores out. If you're posting district information and flyers on your social media, you're actually impacting your algorithms and engagement in a very negative way. Posting even just a picture of a student, or you're posting pictures of students doing the marshmallow catapults with the spoons in the elementary classrooms, that gets you huge engagement. And so the algorithm,
all about faces.
Exactly, the algorithm sees that and it says, well, your content's obviously relevant and people are enjoying it, and it pushes it out to more. So sometimes people will ask me, I have all these followers, but when I post stuff, they don't all see it. It's because the algorithm is deciding how many people and who needs to see what. So if you're posting your district flyers and information and not using something like Peachjar, then that's going to actually impact your algorithm in a negative way, which is really cool. So deeper dive on that with Andrea Gribble in that episode on social media, which is cool. So interesting about your feedback on Instagram. So you also need to look at the age ranges of our social medias.
Absolutely.
We've been watching Instagram really rapidly catch up, and maybe it even has overtaken Facebook at this point.
Yeah, I believe it has overtaken Facebook.
Has it?
So I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
And most of us, I don't really use Facebook that much. We're on there to connect with our family members. My parents are on it way more than I am. So I feel like it's really the older generations are using Facebook more, but millennials are really on Instagram more often.
Important consideration there, and you said something that I want to touch on, is that Instagram is going to connect with maybe your parents and guardians that have students of school age. But remember also, like you mentioned earlier, you also have a broader community at large that you need to also connect with, and that would be maybe in different spaces. So that might be Facebook, where Gen X and the older generations are, the grandparents, or people that have just aged out. Their kids are gone, they're in college or beyond, or people that just don't have students in your district. Being able to get information out in the spaces that they're in as well, so maybe a Facebook kind of a thing, is still really relevant, but you need to decide your capacity that your team has and where you put your energy. As you said, you're trying to post once a day on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, and you need to make sure you're not just sticking to just one platform. You want to make sure you're hitting all of your community members and students as well. Students are on Instagram, they're on TikTok. We haven't jumped yet into TikTok, but that's huge. That's where they're consuming the trends through there. So it's something to consider, maybe jumping on that as well.
Yeah, and that student voice, and students love to see themselves.
They
so you want to see engagement.
They do.
Yeah, make sure your students are highlighted and let them know what socials to follow.
If you ask your students to get involved, they will be so thrilled, and the content they will deliver is absolutely incredible. They can just come up with so many creative ideas.
It's so sweet. You know, I'll share something with you that you might want to consider, and with the audience as well. Samantha Fitzgerald and I did a video on using student voice in your communication strategy. One thing they do, which your takeover could be maybe even cool with this little tip, they actually, in their district, they give an elementary, a middle, and a high school student a cell phone for a day. It's locked down. The only thing you can do is take pictures and videos, and they track a day in their life. So like the high school student, for example, tracked a day in the life of graduation day.
Okay.
From getting the hair done, to getting the gown on, to the rehearsal, to getting to this space, to being out on the chairs with all the friends, to walking across the stage. Imagine the reaction and engagement you get with something like that.
That sounds like a great idea. I might have to use that.
Fun.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
Really fun.
Definitely.
So Samantha Fitzgerald and I did Peachjar Extra Credit on that. You can check that out, and we actually link in the descriptions to that, so you can go check out on social what it really looks like.
I'm definitely going to have to go look at that.
It's pretty fun. You just got to make sure that security-wise things are locked down,
right.
So you're not giving a device and consent with parents and all that other stuff. But yeah, they've gotten a lot of traction with that.
And another way is to get students involved by just having them send you content. Be like, I want you to do a takeover, and you can just create content throughout this time period and just send it to me, and then you can be the one that actually posts it, but that content is created directly by the student.
I love that.
And then so that if there's any worries about like security, you don't have to give a password to any of these accounts to the students. So this way you can still have them do the takeover, but you can moderate it more.
I love that. And you have some control, which is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I've heard people express concern over giving over control.
I totally get that,
This is a really good way to do that.
Yeah.
So that's a really great best practice you brought from the independent school world.
Yeah.
Anything else like that you're bringing forward in your district now?
Let's see. I feel like it was in the independent school world, it was a lot of really strategic marketing to get all these like great campaigns that are heavily marketed, all those like nice graphics. I really learned a lot about graphic designing at that time, and really branding and the importance of your brand. And I feel like when I came to the public school, each school has their own thing going on. They're using the same color at least, but maybe their presentations and documents are all over the place. Nothing kind of looks the same from school to school. So and the way they communicate maybe isn't the same. So one thing was a communication plan. Okay. Coming up with a communication plan for district and the school, so that everyone across the district, across like every school we have, is putting out the same kind of message, has those same kind of standards, is following all these best practices.
Yes.
And I feel like that was something that was pretty standard in the independent school world. We always knew what we were doing in terms of branding. We had our style guide, our branding guidelines, our communication plan. Mm-hmm. So that was something that when I came in, I was like, okay, I can create this communication plan, because this is something I've been working with for a while already.
That is awesome. Okay, so you're implementing communications plans in the district. Now you've got a really great eye, I'm sure, now for the branding and and that can't be overstated how important your brand is for staff recruitment, staff retention, family retention, people having that feeling of belonging and owning something, especially at that school site level. Really critical.
Yeah, so I definitely, as I begin my second year, I definitely want to get more into branding and more making it like really cohesive throughout the district. Before I got there, they had just launched a new district logo.
Oh yeah.
But now I want to take that and make it a little bit more uniform across the schools, because the schools all have different mascots, but I want to kind of make it a way that their mascot's logo can tie into our new district logo and really just make sure everything is looking as polished and unified, and people can see that and be like, oh, that is part of North Plainfield. I know that.
Ooh, I like that idea. A lot of times, schools are just doing their own thing, but I like the nod back to the district as a whole.
Yeah, always bring it back to the district so they know what school. Like, you just look at that and be like, yep, I know that's a North Plainfield school.
That's awesome. Well, anything that we haven't talked about that you want to share, or just kind of last words of advice for anybody that moving into a district, starting the role, they're new there?
Yeah. So some advice I would give is if you're starting new, they've never had a school communicator in the district before, is be an expert explorer. Just there's so many people you can connect with, groups you can connect with. There's great Facebook community groups full of school communicators from all over the world, and
Yes.
they're happy to share information, share ideas. If you want to run an idea by someone who maybe has more experience, that's fine. Like, always be exploring, looking at new vendors, new ideas, join as many free webinars, free training sessions as possible. Just be that expert explorer.
I love that. It is a great group that we ride with as school communicators, that we just openly share resources. We openly share our ideas. I really love this group. I find it very different than so many others who kind of protect resources and their own work. You know, we share so easily.
That is one thing coming into the public school world. I was so shocked by how just open everyone was with their ideas and so responsive to if I wanted to feel something out, be like, what do you guys think about this? And they'd be like, oh, I did this. Here's my resources. Here's the whole document I came up with, all the graphics, presentations. I'm like, wow, they will share everything with you. And you can just use that as your starting point and run with it.
And does your state have a SPRA chapter?
Yes.
And are you a member?
I am a member, and I think it's been amazing. Yeah.
All right, so let's give a shout out to the state chapter.
Yeah, so it's NJSPRA, New Jersey.
So if you are in that area, you need to join your state
Absolutely.
chapter. National chapter, you an INSPRA member?
I just joined.
Awesome.
So yeah.
National chapter is also wonderful. I will highly encourage anyone watching this, if you are not volunteering in some capacity at your state chapter or the national chapter, then you are not getting everything out of that chapter that you possibly can. There's a lot to get back, like you had just mentioned, a lot of invaluable relationships and resources, just being a member. But when you step into a volunteer role, either on a committee or one of the boards, you will develop relationships and bonds with humans across the United States that will just forever change your life. Giving back to the community that gives you so much is really hypercritical. So if you're not part of your state chapter, that's where you start. Get signed up, but then figure out how you can get in there and make a difference.
Yeah, it's a great support network too.
Yes, it is.
It's absolutely such a great resource.
Yeah, you'll end up on text threads and messaging groups and commiseration groups, which is just absolutely wonderful, because sometimes you just need that little bit of sanity from another human that understands what you do.
And sometimes you just need someone to talk to if you just had like a really big issue or something. You just had a huge project and you're happy that it's over, but you just want to talk to someone about how it went and just need someone to listen. They're happy to do that.
Yep, that gets you.
Yep.
So that's a really important one right there. You're starting in a new spot. Make sure you're plugged into the local community of communicators that can help you.
Absolutely.
That is awesome. I've taken so much of your time. I can't thank you enough for joining me here during the conference. This has been awesome.
Oh,
I
yeah,
really
this is
appreciate
great.
this.
Thank you for inviting me to do this. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully you found this helpful as well. Be sure to like, share, comment, follow. For more I know, you can reach out to Jeannette, myself. If you have any questions about anything we talked about today, I know, as we just said, we'd be happy to take those calls and talk to you.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all we got. Stay tuned.